So this is my presentation for the Civic Action Plan project, and my goal was to try to increase the vote in college students and encourage more people to vote. Yeah. So as I said, the vote, especially between ages of 18 and 29, is greatly suppressed in um, the US. In fact, in the 2016 election, only 19% of people between the age demographic of 18 and 29 voted. Um, and so the way that I addressed this issue was that I researched different ways as to why young voters might not be voting. Um, and I just wanted to also address how their votes are being suppressed and kind of discouraged, and figure out ways that I could encourage it and um, make people appreciate the importance of voting. And my main goal of the project was really to just expose voter suppressors and the different um, techniques that they do to make young people feel like their vote doesn't matter, or to make it really hard for them to be able to vote. The reason why I chose this topic is because I felt really passionate about it, especially because of this year's election and how important it was to vote. I just thought that it would be really important to just speak to young people, because our voice is important just as much as other people's voices are. And I also wanted to kind of debunk the theory that when people say that their vote won't count or their vote won't matter, um, because as we saw in this election, a really close election, every vote did matter and every vote was counted. Um, so yeah, that was kind of my goal as well. And then my measurable outcome was going to be the different methods that I used to bring awareness to the issue, such as my social media accounts and the flyer that I made. And I also figured that my outcome would be people that I got as followers and people who were interested and became more aware of the situation as a whole. So, communication. For communication, I wrote 3 emails, one to the Andrew Goodman Foundation, one to the USF and McCarthy Center, and one to the Elections Division. So, my reasoning of sending an email to the Andrew Goodman Foundation was because when I found their website, it was very informative and actually taught me a lot of information that I didn't know about on how um, college students, specifically, how their vote is discouraged and kind of suppressed. And I wanted to learn more information about that and kind of figure out what they might be doing to try to counteract those um, methods that are being used against college students. They also addressed important issues revolving around the topic of voting, um, and they kind of were very inspiring in pushing the importance of being able to vote. Um, for the outcome, I did hear back from one of their communication associates, and she actually pointed me in the direction of where I could find the information that I needed on their website, just because their website is big and it has a lot of different links to it, so it was helpful that she kind of gave me more specific places to look. And she also gave me a phone number to call if I had any further questions. So the second people that I emailed was USF in San Francisco. And they partnered with the McCarthy Center, which is like another foundation for voting for college students. On their website, they had a lot of amazing resources as well. They actually also partnered with the Andrew Goodman Foundation, so they all kind of like worked together. But they had a lot of inspiring pictures of young college students being passionate about voting and working at pre-registering booths and just kind of taking that initiative to vote. They also really emphasized the fact of how they wanted to get people registered and get the college students and the youth to vote and to not be nervous to vote or feel like it's not important. Unfortunately for this email, I didn't hear a response back, but when I went through their website some more, I was kind of able to answer some of my questions just with what I found there. And the last email I sent was to the elections division. I emailed them just because they're like the main headquarters of elections and voting and poll sites and regulations and stuff like that. And so I figured that it would be useful to get some type of feedback from them and to hear from them on if they believe that voters between the ages of 18 and 29 are suppressed in a certain way or just kind of discouraged from voting. And I also wanted to hear if any of the regulations that they've made, if they think that that might specifically be harder for young college students rather than um, older people, like if it's a little bit unfair. For this as well, I didn't hear an email back, which I wasn't really expecting to, but um, I kind of just went off of other research that I found online. Oops, sorry. Okay, so for my awareness part, I made an Instagram, a flyer, and a Twitter. Um, my reasoning behind making an Instagram was just that it's such a popular and widely used website and social media platform. Um, and so I figured that that would be one of the best ways to kind of reach out, especially to people my age, because I don't think I know anybody who doesn't use Instagram. And so I thought that that would be helpful in reaching out to people. I also think that it's really beneficial to have images along with information, um, and because sometimes too much information can be a little overwhelming, and people might just not want to read it or care what it has to say. But images with short little pieces of writing in it are a lot more intriguing and easy to understand. So that's why I thought that Instagram would be a good program to use for my project. For the outcome, my Instagram did get a couple of followers, and some people commented on my posts and were interested and surprised by stuff that I was posting. Another awareness part that I used was a flyer. Um, I think that flyers are just great ways to show information because, kind of like with an Instagram, you can have pictures and words, and it's not too like an essay, it's just kind of short little pieces of information that are easy to understand and kind of stick with people. But because of the fact that uh, I didn't think it would be beneficial to put them out because nobody's really out and about where I live right now, I just posted it on my Twitter account and hoped that people would find it there. But because that was more recently, I haven't gotten too much of an outcome for that yet. But um, I'm thinking of also posting it on my Instagram because I have a couple more followers on there than my Twitter. And then lastly, I made a Twitter because I think that it's also a really helpful social media platform, but it differs from Instagram because it's more writing based, so I could put a little bit longer pieces of information and it doesn't seem super out of the ordinary or overwhelming for people to look at. Um, and yeah, for the outcome for that was I got a few followers, but I think it just needs a little more time as well to gain more. Sorry, my computer's lagging. So for my pressure piece of the project, I made a petition and the petition was going to consist of um, people signing off on wanting to eliminate voting roadblocks for the youth, such as um, certain ID requirements and the lack of polling sites near college campuses, um, as well as there's like voter discouragement and intimidation towards the youth. And also, in certain states, um, they require absentee voters. If they're younger, they require them to have a specific reason as to why they won't be voting at the poll sites, um, which can be difficult for people, especially young people. So my reasoning was because it would be unsafe to have any type of in-person meetings or seminars or stuff like that. I thought that a petition would be an easy way for people to um, be able to voice their opinion in kind of a safe place and not have to risk being in person. I used change.org because it's a very easy website to navigate, and it doesn't take too long for the person to sign the petition, and so it doesn't take up too much of their day. And my outcome was that I did get a few people to sign my petition to eliminate voting roadblocks, but I also believe as well that I will get more as time goes by. And that's the end of my presentation.